Alright, welcome. My name is Kome and I'm going to take you through Master JavaScript course part number 5, where we cover JavaScript classes. So a class is simply a blueprint of objects, and I'm going to create a class that I'll be calling fixer class.js. So a class is simply a blueprint of an object. It contains an object actions and properties such as login and logout, and it has properties such as the username and their password. So here I'm going to create a class I'm going to be calling a user. The class itself will be having a constructor, which is mainly for initializing or passing variables that are to be initialized. So I'll say this dot username, and I'll assign this to my username that I have passed in. So from there, I'm going to create a login function that I'm going to be just saying console dot log. Then I'll start pass a string literal where I'm passing in this dot username as logged in, showing that user will have logged in. So I'm going to repeat the same for the logout, but this time I'll say logout function. This dot username as logged out. So from there, I'm going now to create another class or a child class, which I'll be calling class. So I'll put some this class admin, which will extend or it will inherit some of the user properties. Extends, I'm missing T there. Extends user property. So in itself, in that class, I'll be having the constructor function to be passing in or will be receiving in a username, and it also be receiving the role of that user. So I will just call the super class. I'll use the super key one to pass in the username so that I can be able to access methods and properties of the super class, which is the user. So from there, I'm going to be calling this dot role and assigning it the role that I've passed in. So from there, I'm going then to be having another function that I'll be calling delete user. And this delete user will be passing in itself, it will be receiving a user, and then it will be saying console.log, and then string literals, or it will simply just return something in this function. So this function, I want it to return, so inside string literals, you'll have a $sign this dot username. So we'll be accessing the username, this dot username. Now the username that is passed from there, that is passed inside here, this user object, that username, and then we'll say whose role is this dot role. Of course, this dot role will come from the admin class, and then of course we'll say we have deleted maybe then we'll have the user dot username. Because the user that will be passed in here, then that is the user that will be having. This that we pass in here, of course, will come here and create that user, and then of course pass in their username. That's how you'll be able to access the username there. So from there, I'll just come and say user1 and initialize it to is equals to new user. And I'll pass in a name like or let's say Martin. So I'll pass in a user that will be calling LC, and then I'll say user1 dot login, and then of course I'll say user. I'll just say console dot login, console dot log, then I'll just say user1, or access user1 dot login. I'll access user1 dot login property there. So from there, I want to delete the user. I will say I will create another admin, which is new admin, and then the admin passes in name. Maybe I'm the admin, and then the role super user or super admin. So then I will just say console.log, and then I will say admin1 dot, then I'll delete the user. And which is already be deleting the user1 that I created there. So yeah, I'm expecting that when I run this code, then delete user will return for me this dot username, which is now the username that I have passed in here in my admin when I'm creating it. This dot is username, and then of course this dot username will access the parent constructor, which will initialize username to username, and then it will pass in this row, which is initialized just in this child class, this dot row, and then the return user dot username. Then the user that is passed in here, the user instance, then will be the one that will be deleted, and using this user instance now to access the dot username property of it. So from there, I just come here and say node, and then the current directory fixer class.js. Let's see what happens. Okay, node, I missed this full stop before. So LC has logged in. So LC has logged in and then deleted LC. And then you have the undefined super admin deleted LC. So let's clear this. What if you wanted to have a static property? Let's say, for example, we have a static function. That is static function remains, maybe static function ID, which will just or static ID, sorry, static ID. This one I want it just say console.log ID remains constant. So for static properties, they are simply accessed using the super, using just the super keyword, no need of the new. So I can come here and try to access the static ID of the user class. So you can come here and say console.log user1.id user1.id. Let's see what I get there. So ID is a static. Let's see what I get there. The answer there. Compile again is a problem. User ID1 is not a function. User1.id. So user1.id. User new user. User1.id. Static ID. Let's say .id. User1.id. So again, I ran into a problem here. User1.id static ID. So let's try to access it from the constructor name. Let's say child ID super dot and then user super dot ID. Super.id. Let's try to access that method there, super.id. And then here we just say admin1 dot child ID. Let's see what we get. Let's see if I get the same. So come here again. I think there's a problem. ID is not a function. Was it not being received as a function? Let's see. Static ID. So let's compile it again. Okay, it is not a function. Super.id. Super.id. You have seen the super static function. Let's see. Static ID. Okay, let's use the class itself. Sorry for that. So instead of this, I'll just let me do away with this. Let me also do away with all this static ID here. So come here to static ID, and I'll just say user.id. Just use the user class and see what happens. ID remains constant, yes. So use the user key, the class itself, and then the property. There's no need missing the new keyword. I hope that helped you so much. Thanks for seeing me debug. Follow me on Twitter at ComeKelvinK to see more on this, and see more on this uncut tutorials as I share what I am working on live without making any changes, to see how I solve the problems. Thank you so much. If this you like this, just subscribe to this channel and don't forget to share. Thank you so much. See you in the next lesson. That is lesson 6. Thank you.